I'm Andrew Mishlove, and this is my video series, How to Win a Drunk Driving Case, a guide for the layperson. We're talking about the 7 key factors in drunk driving defense, and right now we're talking about the third factor, which is the police. Just as there are legitimate rules governing our behavior, such as we're not allowed to drive drunk, there are rules that govern the behavior of the police. As agents of the government, police have very strict rules about how they deal with individual citizens. And there are rules and procedures, laws and regulations governing just about every aspect of drunk driving investigation. A skilled attorney needs to know all of those rules and know how to investigate the way the police behaved and know how to determine whether the police violated any of those rules. Now, some of them are really broad concepts. For example, the Constitution tells us that we all have the right to be free from an unreasonable search and seizure. If we apply it to a drunk driving case, that means that the police must have a reasonable suspicion that you were violating the law before they can pull you over. They must have a reasonable suspicion that you were impaired by alcohol before they can ask you to do field sobriety tests. They must have probable cause to believe that you were under the influence before they can give you a roadside breath test. And they must have probable cause to arrest you before you can be handcuffed and put in the back of a squad car and taken down to the hospital or police station for a chemical test. So the Constitution implies all sorts of very strict rules that govern the police behavior. In addition, there are statutory rules that govern how the police have to handle you once you've been arrested. There are certain forms that have to be filled out, certain rights that have to be read to you, and so on. If you've been asked to take a chemical test, there are rules that apply to that. There are rules that govern the way that the chemical test machinery has to be maintained and calibrated and so on. Of course, if you're in custody and you're being interrogated, the police have to read you your Miranda rights. And there are rules governing the way just about every bit of evidence is handled. For example, how was your blood, if it was taken, transported to the laboratory, and so on. So evaluating the police behavior is something that a skilled attorney really needs to know how to do. You see, the thing that happens in any criminal case and a drunk driving case is that you as the defendant are put under a microscope. Every one of your little imperfections is just magnified. If you did any little thing that wasn't perfect, the state will try to enlarge upon it, magnify it, and make it seem like it's just a terrible thing. And as a defense attorney, what we want to do is just make that process fair. If you're going to be put under a microscope, well, then the police should be put under the microscope too. If you couldn't stand on one leg for 30 seconds, we need to know that the police officer could do the same thing. So a good attorney knows how to shift that microscope away from you and onto the police. After all, they are agents of the state, and you're an individual citizen. It's more important that they follow the rules. So, if you've been accused of drunk driving, make sure you have an attorney who knows how to evaluate all of those things. Don't just assume that you're going to be found guilty unless you're sure that the police followed all of the rules.